Hello, reader. So this is the Oak Bloke, and we're going to look at the Oak Bloke 2024 ideas and kind of reminisce back on the 2024 fun run. So for those of you who don't have a clue what I'm on about, this was basically something I dreamt up 18 months ago, and it was basically I sort of said to myself, well. I've been writing articles for a while. I mean, I sort of set myself a challenge. I thought, can I take on the best of the best? Um, and it was the best of who I considered the best at the time. So I thought, right, well, I'll pick 20 because other people were picking ideas and they had done for a few years, and I'd sort of followed their ideas, and some of them worked and some of them didn't, and some of them were great and some not so great. And I thought, well, let's have a go at this. And I thought, do you know what? In a way, it's a way for me to put my neck on the line. Let's see how I get on. If it's terrible, it'll be a learning experience. If it's great, it'll be a learning experience. So it was very much as a learning experience that I sort of dreamt up the idea of the Oak Bloke Fun Run. So basically, there was a couple of people I thought, right, okay, well, they've got a list of ideas on their website. Let's kind of and the other thing that always annoyed me a bit, and this is sort of the other motivation, was that you'd see people pumping out article after article, say, oh yeah, this stock's great. Oh yeah, this stock's great. And it's like, okay, well, but then like 3 months later, 6 months later, if it worked out, they'd be writing other articles saying, oh, how great was my article? And then there'd be sort of, if the idea wasn't so great, it'd be like, yeah, never hear from them again on it. And that sort of slightly got my goat. And there was, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter who it was, but it got my goat a little bit that people sort of were bigging up their good, their sort of successes and sort of putting the failures under the carpet. And I thought, well, if we just sort of keep track of everybody, let's see what's going well, let's see what's going rubbish. Let's see how things change over time. This will be like an early warning radar system where you can sort of see trends and different things. Anyway, um, this is how it started off. So it was sort of the Oak Bloke 2024 idea, 20 ideas for 2024. And my other idea was I thought, well, what about if I take half of my own ideas and then I pick half of the ideas that my readers come up with? Um, so I'm going to have to sort of choose 10 that I don't know, but I'm going to sort of read through them and work out the best 10. And sort of do it that way. So rather than just use all my own ideas, I thought let's sort of do a joint effort. So the ones on the left were mine, the ones on the right were other people's ideas. So and this sort of, it's funny looking back 18 months, you kind of, so for example, REA Holdings, I mean, just because it's in front of me, REA Holdings, this is a palm oil plantation. I sort of said, well, I was skeptical about including this one at first, but the preference shares base yield, and then special dividend on top. This will give me sort of like over 20% return. Like, it's mental. How is it that you can get a 20% return? But you could, and I did. If we go and look at, sorry, let's go and grab my list. So if we go and look at, this 8.2% return from dividends is in no small part to REA. So there was things like that, and there was others that didn't work out so well. I mean, just whilst we're in front of them, Trident, that got sold off, so that worked out well. This one worked out well. I won't go through every one of them, but yeah, there's certainly been some successes and failures. And I suppose if I look, excuse me, if I look at the rationale of some that didn't do well, I mean, look, Bell is my first sucker stock, a real stinker. $85 million reasons why I believe this will prosper. The tech's proven it's world class. There's people saying they will only sell Bell. commercials are in place. This will look different. Well, it didn't. It didn't work out. They ran out. They're still going, but I called time on this idea, and I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. But I reached the end where I said no. Yeah, based upon what I'm looking at now, I just don't see that it's going to escape. Escape velocity trajectory to kind of get to where it needs to get to. And obviously, by that point, that had cost me or cost my imaginary ideas. So you can see here I've got realized losses, which is partly Bellascura, but also IX that delisted. Now again, that's still going. They actually reported some very positive updates. They've got a Turkish partner that is going to be building. So sorry, when I say they, so its principal holding is called Waste Fuel, and Waste Fuel are going strong. They're building out their technology in Turkey. They've got a Turkish partner that's supporting that. There's lots and lots of methanol powered ships that are starting to be commissioned and to be launched. Maersk is one of the big shipping companies that are backing that. So the jury's not out on IX, but what I've done is I've taken the delisting price, and then that's kind of what I'm going to stand by. Sayata was a 100% loss, so that was one where it literally went bust, lost all the money. Hasn't happened to me again this year though. So yeah, I did sort of learn. I think I did learn some lessons genuinely, and Sayeta, if it had worked out, it would have been fantastic. An electric motor that was a partnership in India. The Japanese company that bought Sayeta is doing great guns. So the technology itself was sound. It was basically again just ran out of money. In an environment where raising money was impossible. And you look at all the companies that are raising money now in the last couple of weeks, even there's a real difference now in the markets. It's still not back to sort of back to normal, if I can say normal, but it's a lot better than it was back in 2024. So yeah, learn some lessons, and again, there's some where, like this one, a lot of people call me out on this one. I read Chattersphere blog thing or Chattersphere articles, and people say, oh yeah, that Oak bloke with his digital 9. Well, it's funny because I've stuck with digital 9 because I believe that Arqiva is worth a lot more than and actually, you look at I mean, obviously it's from small beginnings, but it's dropped down as low as 7.5, but it's now bounced again to 10, so it's up a third. So it's not doing that badly. They've managed to get rid of, well, they managed to. I mean, they sold Sea Edge, they've sold EMIC One, and I have been critical of the way it's been dealt with. I mean, I'll give you an example. The results that came through shortly before the sale was finalised for their cables business show that their profits were rising. So having been told, oh well, the margins are desperately falling, although they weren't, they were rising again. Having said that, EMIC One, oh well, the problem is, there's the problems in the Red Sea, and there's the Houthi rebels that are launching rockets at ships going by and all of this stuff. Well, like I think it was last October or last November, they reported that they'd completed the cabling across the Red Sea onto mainland Egypt. So they were going to run it along the land of Egypt, exit it at the Mediterranean. In other words, EMIC One was perfectly all right. So I do think they made a lot of bad. When I say they, Triple Point, that was manager at the time, made several bad decisions. Obviously, the new investment managers, I mean, I put it down to the fact that the predecessors had already set these things in motion. It was too late to turn the ship around on these assets. But the way they were sold was very poor. The prices they got were very poor. I don't believe. Well, I mean, there's a lot of. I've presented a lot of evidence where there was clearly stuff going on, that bad decisions were being made, because common sense tells you if you've got uh, a cable company that has an Asian operation that you've built up, and then separately you've got a cable that's going to run between Europe and Asia, like common sense tells you not to sell those two things separately. So anyway, they did. They sold them separately, got a fraction of what they were worth, and it's a great pity. But even despite all of that, water's under the bridge. The milk has been spilt. Arqiva's presenting some really strong, strong evidence that they are worth a lot more than I think the market gives them credit for. Because here, for example, with the current, this is on a vast discount. So market cap's 80 million. Arqiva. If you do a read across on assets like the ones that Cordiant, there's an Italian listed company that I've looked at. I mean, it's worth many times, but we'll see. I mean, I need to get this to I need to get something like a 27p outcome for this to break even. I remain of the view that it will. And that's that's kind of the worst one that's still in the portfolio. And no, I won't call time on it, because I think there's upside from where it is. And in a personal capacity, I average down at that 7.5p, and it's because I thought, well, no, at that price, I mean, you are literally getting a national infrastructure provider, a media, a mainline media operator that's providing services into Sky TV and BBC and ITV and all of them, as well as being a major water meters business, as well as being the comms provider behind other smart meter businesses. There's a lot of reasons why I think this one will end up minus 66. And it's already bounced, as I say, a third from its low. So we'll see. Anyway, I don't want to dwell too much on any of these things, but I mean, let's look at sort of where the scores are. So the race leader from last year was Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott is still the race leader, 31. So it's interesting. He's 31.3, which is up from 23.2. So his portfolio, or his ideas have actually gained another 8% in 2025. Now, this column here, contribution, is how much. So this was based on an imaginary this value here, 20,000. So 20 ideas, I chucked 1,000, an imaginary 1,000 at each one to track it. This gain or loss is the gain of the individual share. So like this one, cost 1,000. Today it's worth 2,371, or that many shares is worth 2,371. So that's a gain of 1,370. 1,370 is a ratio of 20,000 is 6.9%. So that's where these two different percentages are coming from. And then there's also just the idea that obviously these are all chucking off dividends. So with the dividends, I'm not sort of doing this is the gain on the share, because there is no share. I mean, these are dividends from shares, if you follow me. So, but it's made a 3.4% contribution. And then a couple of other things. I mean, some of I think pretty much all of these were super stocks 18 months ago. So it's interesting. I think it's interesting to see that, some of them now have descended in their status and style and score from what they stood at. And that, I suppose that's just the nature of the world, isn't it? That some ideas will do well, some will not do well. And obviously, some of them have lost some money as well. I mean, funnily, this one's not far off Digital 9, but do people run Mr. Scott across the coals for Plexus? Well, I don't know. Maybe they do. Who knows? But yeah, that's sort of the worst idea. But obviously, you can see here there's four four double baggers, which is great. Interseed, Reynolds, Beeks, and CMC. I mean, it's interesting because obviously these have been on a little bit of a journey. I think this one's bounced up and down quite a lot. Obviously, it's on quite a high price earnings growth ratio. And Beeks, again, I kind of felt a little bit about that one because when I looked at similar companies, I was like, well, yeah, there are similar companies to Beeks. I mean, tell me what the IP that Beeks has. It's obviously got reputation, which is great. It's got customers and referenceability, which is great. I don't dispute any of that. But what IP have they got that makes them unique, that gives them this edge in high speed trading? Because I don't think there is any edge. It's just that they do what other people do. So I would worry in that scenario as to, well, what's the moat that keeps others from sort of saying, well, let's have a piece of that action. And in fact, what stops the hyperscalers, all the big boys in the market, from sort of going, oh, hang on a minute, especially when we're talking like something like NASDAQ. I mean, if you've not got a really big moat that protects you, well, that's a little bit. I personally, just, it's my own opinion. So none of this is advice, but I just would worry about buying that and sort of, what's keeping this from crashing. So anyway, we'll see. Hasn't so far, so maybe I'm wrong, but I've not found any evidence to say that I'm wrong. All I've seen is that they've, obviously they're continuing to do well. They've won more deals, so well, long may it continue, but we'll see. I did like Interseed, and that has come down in price. So I must say my PDI is on that. But again, I was sort of looking at that. I was like, well, but there are other authentication platforms out there, and there's some big names that do that same thing as Interseed. So again, I was just sort of, and I haven't made up my mind yet on Interseed as to whether I would sort of dip my own toe into that one. But yeah, some interesting, certainly some great ideas. I know, undoubtedly, and I noticed some that were doing badly back 6 months ago. Like I think Volex is a good example, doing a lot better now. I think if we go like that, there we go. So you can see, like, back here, Volex. Oh, actually, no, Volex was only down 2%, and now it's up 15. Well, actually, yeah, so it's up 17% since December. I think that's the deltas. Maybe we need to go over this way. Can you see Volex? Yeah, Volex was on -12 and now it's on +15, so it's up 27%. So yeah, there are some really good movements actually in the 6 months. So that's kind of where Mr. Scott's 8% is coming from. I think Zote Foams is another one, -13 here. Well, actually, let's go to this one. Zote Foam, Zote. There we go, -7. So has moved to, oh no, it's still on -7. There we go. So opportunity knocks, perhaps. So moving to mine. Yeah, you can see, I did very well with dividends. So that's things like REA that have generated that. Kazira, obviously, is my biggest. So that one is up 155. Georgia Capital up 86. That's had a really strong 6 months. It didn't end. In fact, let's go back into this. So if we go down to, let's have a look. There we go. Third place, me. Our Georgia Capital was up 19. So to go from 19 to 86 kind of gives you a bit of a uh, uh, yeah. Oh, and yeah, I can see there's a question coming in. So no, I'm not. Well, I'm not connected with any of these companies. I don't work in financial services. I just do this. Well, it's not really a hustle, because I mean, just to kind of explain, this. So if we just go back to here, I mean, the only reason I do, well, apart from it helps me be a better investor, I do this to try and raise some money for a good cause. The good cause being Emmaus. I've had 119 people contribute to that good cause. So I basically publish my work for free. But if you enjoy my work, if you profit from my work, or if you're just a good person, like I'm not charging you a subscription, I'm not getting any money for myself, but please do contribute to this because it massively helps these guys do some really great work with ex-homeless people that put a roof over their heads, but then sort of give them work, so they get paid work working within the businesses of Emmaus. And for me, that's sort of like giving people a hand up and sort of not giving them a hand out, which resonates with me. So anyway, but do if you've got questions, then please do ask them. I'm happy to answer them if I can. Right, anyway, so let's sort of, well, what else to talk about? I mean, let me just quickly talk about where I think some of these will go now in the next 6 months. So Kazira, I mean, we've still not seen financial results feeding through. I think when you look at the photos and the updates that we're seeing via Twitter or X, looks like there's going to be financial results that look very exciting. And I would just refer you back to the various articles that I wrote where I said, well, look at all these global, worldwide operations that are doing what Kazira are doing, but are doing it where the amount of mineral sands, heavy mineral sands, are like 4%, 5%. I mean, these guys have got a resource where it's sort of more like 50. Now, obviously, like I haven't physically gone there or anything, so but I have seen. Actually, it's interesting. I think if you look on X, there are like short videos where you can see, like, it's literally like dark black sand, and you can see all the heavy mineral sands in the sand of the beach. So and plus, you've got the whole area of the settlement, the arbitration that went in their favor. So what that means is now there's a legally enforceable debt that could include repossessing assets and different things. Not that I'm a Namibian legal expert, but I suspect that so this is still only at 16.7. Okay. And when you consider that the settlement, so this, sorry, it's not Win Ink Steel, it would be the arbitration result is, yeah, I can't see it there in the news. This is annoying sometimes, actually, that for what, oh, there we go, 11.9. So look, you're looking at what, 8.5 million pounds. So like half of that number that you buy it for today, yeah, is sort of cash essentially, or is going to be cash once the cash rolls in from that recovery of the debt, because it's now a legally enforceable debt. And Hebe, this Chinese company that owes the debt, I mean, it's not like they're going to go bust or anything, because, well, I mean, nothing's certain, but they are a large, perhaps what I should reword that as is, they are a large organization with I forget the exact amount, but it was sort of something like I think it wouldn't be incorrect to say that they're sort of worth into the hundreds of millions. So they're not, they're not like a little two-bit. You'd struggle to get 12 million cash out of them. Well, they've got 12 million of assets if they haven't got the cash. Let's put it that way. So that's I mean that's got further to run as far as I'm concerned. George Capital, I think George Capital's just been a fantastic share. It's for me, it's just keeps giving and giving and growing and growing. And there's and I think you've now got the whole expansion into Armenia. You've got I mean, they announced the sale of the water business. So I mean, that was something they part sold, and it's just kept going up in value. So again, just really just very, very and again, if you look at my articles, I was sort of looking at the numbers and looking at the operational numbers. I was like, well, these operational numbers are far in excess of what the financial numbers are showing, the NAVs are showing. So, unless there's sort of some huge fraud going on, I was like, well, this is at some point got to translate into an increased net asset value, because they're sort of operational, and they report them separately, but there was sort of like 100% increases in their operational performance across some of their business, not all of the businesses, but even just that business they sold, the beer business. I mean, when you ran the numbers there, it was like, well, like they've still got some of that business, they still own some of it, and the price they sold it at was fantastic, and again, just very impressive. So I think that one as well, it's got more to go. Baker Steel, I've written about that recently. I mean, if they sell the Futura business, that will be a massive slug of cash. They'll still have the royalty from the operation. The company that, if they buy it, is a multi-billion Middle East resources company. They'll develop it undoubtedly, and that royalty will come rolling in. I think when you look at all of its gold holdings, I mean, they're all doing incredibly well. The tungsten holding, Tungsten West, has tripled in price. So there's so many things where Baker Steel is, and the CMOS business with the cement. I mean, that's going to start chucking off dividends. So I mean, I could see Baker Steel. Oh, and then you've got Prognos, where you've got a Russian silver mine, but you've got a Kazakhstan business that was it's called what's it called? It's now called Pure something. Anyway, they are on the hook for the royalty, even though it's based in Russia. Kazakhstan business owes the liability, or has the liability to pay over and Prognos is one of the largest silver mines in the world, or at least, let me rephrase that. It was the third largest undeveloped silver mine in the world, and it's now developed, it's now operational, they're now pulling silver out of the ground. So and obviously, with the price of silver being what it is, it's on the books. It's on the books for sort of like £1 million, which is ridiculous when it could be chucking that in royalties in each 6 months. So yeah, there's lots and lots of things that I think will potentially be positive. Moving on to sort of some of the other people. So very interesting to see that Mr. Archer has actually moved ahead of Mr. Thompson in the 6 months. So his portfolio is now into profit, and I should have put in a little color chart there, and I haven't, but you can see there, I mean, Guardian has just been a phenomenal, like what's that, nearly 5 times. So what a phenomenal result. You could buy a share for 9p that today is worth 50. I think today it's 52p. So fantastic. It just goes to show that if you pick a share, and I'm not sort of trying to sort of appeal to your greed or whatever, but sometimes you've just got to sort of think, well, I don't want to take massive risks, but if I take small risks or risk small amounts, probably is a better way of saying it, that even just something like that, where you can sort of, just even if we're talking like 3 figures or something, that you can sort of then turn, hundreds into thousands, and several thousand actually. Well, depending on how many hundreds you're talking about, but you get the idea that there's some where, like, if you just balance what you're doing and you don't kind of bet the house on it, but you sort of take some small, that can sometimes pay very, very well. And in fact, in the current 2025 fun run, uh, Mr. John, one of the readers that asked to participate, and I said, "Yep, no problem." He's taken that approach. He's got, I think, Vodafone is his sort of largest single, but then he's got some that are sort of then, I think. Yeah, smaller holdings. I think 3,600, I think, is the number. Some that are then 1,800, some that are 900, some that are 450, and some that are 225. Now, he's had sort of like 5-10% from Vodafone. I mean, I'm just talking top of my head. I can't remember the exact numbers, but he's had some that have been like like his biggest one's been 5-10%. That sort of is the ballast. But then some of his sort of 1,800s or some of his 900s have doubled and tripled, or that's been. But even then, like some of his speculative ones, there's a couple that he put 225 on that have dropped, have delisted. So he lost, I don't know, 60-70%. So again, as bad as Digital 9, but nobody calls out Mr. John either on those, because, like, who cares when he's the race leader and his 5-10%. So I think that's a very interesting strategy. Very interesting strategy. So a couple of other ones. I mean, I think Sovereign, that one is now only down 3% compared to, I think it was a year last June that Mr. Archer added some back in the December, and then he added a few more in the June. So anyway, these were his 11 ideas. Asia Met has been that's been yomping along in the current year, and I know there's some news flow. I don't follow Asia Met particularly, but I think that one has been working out very well for him. So something's going right there. So if we take the 1 year view, well, actually, no, it's not sort of doing anything much at all by the looks of things. Well, it is up 5.8% today, but if this sometimes wonder whether these charts are accurate. Well, I suppose compared to sort of Christmas time, it's gone up 50% actually. So that's, I mean, that's substantial, isn't it? So very good result there. So Mr. Thompson is actually behind Mr. Archer, as I said. So the thing that saved Mr. Thompson, so this is the Bargain Shares 2024 list. So quite a few of these now have triple points, Tent, or the energy transition, the Alpha Real Trust. These have delisted. Now, whilst these have are on obviously minus 100, basically that's where sort of some of this dividend figure is. So I mean, net of these two, there's probably and I forget the exact gain or loss, but I think this one made a slight gain and this one made a slight loss, maybe, or maybe it's the other way around. But anyway, yeah, so quite a few, again, quite a few where there's just not quite as you'd sort of think that. Let's just sort of put some data bars on that. There we go. Yeah, so quite a few that have e-energy, Oxford Metrics, Next EQ have all, and actually the one that's well, no, BP Marsh is a good one, but the one that surprises me is Anexo, because that one is well, I think the only thing that saved him there was that there's an offer to buy out the minority shareholders, so there's a sort of takeover by the majority shareholders at the moment. So yeah, very interesting. But anyway, that was pretty much it. I mean, there's a few others here that have yeah, Guardian turned out well here, but these others have not been so great. That one's down 66, that one's down 86%, down 88%, 50%, 34%. I mean, Power Metals is also one of my ideas. That yeah, it baffles me, that one, to this day. But who knows? Anyway, that was sort of my 2024 review. I think I'll probably just leave it there. But I hope that's been a useful mini video to just sort of cover off what's worked, what's not worked, where things will go. I think I haven't sort of gone through every one of these, but I think TMT, I think quite rightly they released some news recently where they said, well, look, we've sold some of our Bolt EU, which is a kind of like Uber, but Uber of Africa, or Uber of places where Uber is not that big. Bolt is in the UK as well. They're in Germany. They're in quite a few different countries. Also, sort of doing not just sort of car hire or car taxis, cars transportation, but also sort of scooters and self-driving and different sort of transportation and food delivery as well. So there's, yeah, I remain very, very positive about TMT investments, even though here it's sort of down 16%. It baffles me because compared to 18 months ago, the NAV is no less. In fact, they've had some spectacular successes. So I do feel positive about that one. And Petrotal's another where it just baffles me that that's down 23% when it's had so much success in the last 18 months. And finally, agronomics. I mean, most people will know that agronomics has been on a large upwards journey in 2025, but obviously went on a very large downwards journey in 2024. So that's kind of you can see there that's sort of shot up in 2025, but for me, I caught it at the wrong time. Just the market was in a bad place is probably the best way of describing it. The proof points that it has now around falling costs. The problem with cellular agriculture is that you've got to scale it, but they're starting to do all of those things. They're starting to prove that out. Long term, I think this has a very, very bright future. I think today's price, I mean, we're still talking nearly sort of 50% discount to NAV. I think the NAV used to tell you these things, but they seem to have missed off the yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I think the NAV is about 14 pence. Oh, there we go. NAV calculation. Thank you very much. 14.8. There we go. I was right. So you can still get this at half price. And actually, when you consider that its investment in Liberation Labs, so that's now changed to Liberation Bio something. I think that is largely covered in the market cap now. It's I think the Lib Labs is worth something in the region of about, well, maybe not 70, but it's a good chunk of that 70. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I mean, I think the deal that Lib Labs did with Saudi Arabia with Neom, which is a Saudi Arabian, I think we'll see some interesting. That company has an interesting future, but Soline as well. So Soline is it's listed in where is it listed? Finland. So Soline, let's see, it's sort of Nasdaq North, I think. That yeah. So it's this company here. Again, it's interesting because there we go. S Foods, that this post IPO did struggle a bit, but there we go, 525. So let's have a look. Go over five years. Yeah. So again, in 2025, actually, that's a slightly strange graph, isn't it? Let's try. year to date. There we go. So from a sort of 472, so it's up about 10%, and I suspect, yeah, it's sort of listed at yeah, so it's at about half of what it listed at, which but has bounced from its low, is perhaps what I'm trying to say. So yeah, the jury's out. I mean, with this is a protein that they can produce using hydrogen. Essentially, you can make it via solar power. So space food, this is food that you could produce in space. Yeah, so anyway, that's sort of that's part of ANIC as well. So anyway, I'll leave it there. I hope that's been a useful exercise, and I'll probably write an article that goes around all of that thinking. So look out for that at some point. Bloke signing off. Cheerio for now. Cheerio.